Hey there, welcome back to another video specifically made for me, myself, and I. Interesting, I think we're up to 18 videos now. I think I'm still the only person that really watches these. And just another reminder of what am I doing this for? Um, Number one reason is to continue to learn. I think for many years in my own career, um, when you do this for a living, you start to at times start thinking of doing things only. You don't want to work outside of work because if the things you learn are not directly relevant for your job, then it seems that you're not doing uh, well. It's a waste of the company's money. So you're not going to do this at work, and learning other technologies that you don't use at work, you can easily think, well, what am I doing? I'm using this in the off chance that it'll ever actually be useful. And when it is, well, I'll be ready. It's kind of this idea of I'm preparing for, I don't know, nothing. And so the reason I'm making these videos and working on some of these is uh, to have an outlet for some of the things that I can learn on my own time. So if and there's a lot of other benefits for these YouTube channels or these YouTube videos, and that's, well, if I'm making something, I'm also can be considered promoting it. If I have my own software idea, I could be promoting it at the same time as I'm building it. So I'm learning things that's going to help me in my primary career, but it's also, um, well, it's also just piquing my interest and allow me to learn more, which allows me to be more competent at my job, which gives me, it just makes me more valuable, and I get a lot of self-satisfaction out of that. But it also, if I do have an idea, I'm kind of rolling that dice. I'm rolling that dice out there, and maybe there's a lot of luck involved to to make something that would be where I could earn any money off it. That's going to require some luck. But rolling that dice out there, well, if it actually turns up with my face on it and an idea actually works, well, I'll be able to capitalize on it. And by not playing that, or not even trying to have that chance, I'm not learning those extra about that extra technology, or filling in the gaps in my own knowledge. I'm not giving the chance to even have an idea that could be successful. And so those are two reasons. And then for me, another is being part of the community. I've worked remote uh, my entire adult life, actually, and wanting to feel some of the community, or put something out there. It's not just for me and a little silo in my company. I'm part of a bigger community, and I want to be part of that. I want to help others. I want to be part of that conversation where I'm contributing in some manner, um, hopefully in a positive manner, and doing just my job and staying in that little bubble. Um, it's safe and secure, but it doesn't. You know, it's really not. I don't think unlocking my full potential of what I can become. So that's those are just a couple thoughts, and I put that out there because, like I said, I'm the only person that's going to view this, or any of these videos I've been putting up, and it's a reminder to stay at it, and continuing to roll those dices, continuing to just be persistent. The rewards will come later, And just learning with you guys is actually worth a lot as well. So, drinking decaf tonight. Um, First time really, but I gotta say it tastes pretty good. Coffee for me is always kind of puts me in a nice calm state of mind. And so I figured maybe I could have a little decaf on these late night sessions, and it won't affect my sleep and allows me to really enjoy this process. So, with that said, let's jump into it. What are we going to build tonight, or today, whenever it is for you? Where were we on our last video? We were here. We had created our list. We've got our task list, and we got a couple different ways that we can go. Obviously, we do not yet have a little checkbox, and there's no way to actually complete any of these tasks. Um, I really want to get there too. I really want to start having some tasks that I can actually start using this app. That's the reason I picked this, and I've got a couple things around, just making some better healthy choices and things like that. That I can't wait to actually start using this and putting some real data in. But there's two different routes. There is one where we can start completing items, and then there is the other where we can start adding more to this list. And because if you haven't noticed by now in this course or in this series, I tend to do the non-flashy things first. I don't always do that, and sometimes I've picked the more front end and just use mock data to get it all looking good and then go to the back end. But continuing on the theme of doing kind of the back end first, the API, the tests, the database, then just doing the front end. Well, I think for now, I'm just going to go ahead and go with just adding new tasks, editing our existing ones, and deleting them. And we're going to work on that tonight. And getting to be able to actually check them off will be in our next video or two. So with that said, let's go in. I was taking a look at our UI library and I noticed this dialog. And I think this is the component that we're going to actually start using. And how I think this can work is we'll put a new little task down here. Maybe we'll put it in the center for now. We won't worry about styling too much. And we'll have a new thing. You'll click it and it'll open up a dialog. And in that dialog, we'll be able to put a name in and then save it. And if it doesn't pass validation, we'll display the error. And if it does pass validation, we'll send it and we'll reload these tasks. And after that, we'll make all of these clickable. So if you click, it'll upload, it'll reload the dialog. We'll be able to change the name and we'll be able to save. That'll also hit our validation. And then the last thing is if we click, we'll be able to click delete, and then we'll have an extra confirm dialog. And so we're going to do a lot. There's really a lot to get into, and it's getting pretty late. So we'll see if we can get to all of it today, but we're going to try. So as I said, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to open up a dialog. And what we'll do is first, let's just copy this guy in to we're in our web project. We're going to add this new UI library. And this is coming in. Here we go. Now, if you remember, what is this lib? I think we already have this in here. Yes, we do. So we don't need that actually. And our components, our UI components, we have this new dialog. And we need to save this. That'll get our ESLint to run. And all right, we're looking pretty good now. I thought we would have to put a change over these @ signs, but it doesn't look like we do. So that's good to see. So we're at least for now, we're going to put this as its own top level. So this is an interesting case. We're going to have, we want to reuse, it'll be an add or edit, and we're going to want to reuse this dialog. So for us, let's close this component. We have everything in our, everything is in our, this is a test, isn't it? Yes, it is. Let's go ahead and delete these so we can not be confused. Oh, and this was our test, and this was also a test. We're going to delete that as well because we're not using it. And here's our task list. And so we want to think about our add or edit this new dialog. So at first, what we'll do, we're going to do this and then we'll try to refactor. So we'll have our container, and at the bottom of our container, we will have our, I think there's definitely a way that we can, let's think. If we edit if we want to click one of these and that brings up a dialog, or if we click a button and it brings up a dialog, we want our dialog itself to be, and let's actually see how this component actually looks, because we do want this to be pretty similar. On our submit button, our save changes is going to do something. So we're going to have a dialog content. We have this edit profile. And okay. So this is our dialog trigger, and that's what our profile is. And then we have our dialog content. And then in our content is where we will put our, so our dialog content is, we're going to click this button, and that button can be different, but we do want to reuse a lot of this content here. So for the time being, I think let's just add the add new task button. And should this live at the end of our list? That's another question that we have. Should that be at the end of our list, or should this be, so we are at the task list container, and so I definitely think that means we can add a new component in our task list, and we will call it add new task, or we'll just call it add task. And we'll just call it add task. Should we call it add task button? Sure. I think add task button sounds perfect, or sounds good enough at the very least. So let's copy this in here. We're going to call this add task button for now. All these little components here. Let's do a replace all and just get rid of all those. There we go. All right, so let's just go ahead into our container, and we will add a add task button with no properties, and let's add that in, and let's see how our app looks. And we are not running our app. Well, we should be doing that, shouldn't we? Docker compose, not Docker container. Docker up, and we'll see if this actually, I am curious if installing these new libraries or these new UI components, does it change anything in our package? And we can't see because my bloody head is in the way. There it is. So it does look like we are changing our package, and because of that, I wonder what we changed actually in here. Let's see. Get diff package .json. We added the React dialog. Okay, so we are not only going to have to Docker compose up, but we also need to build. Hey, while you're here, and this is running, let me show you guys a hotkey that I absolutely love. Imagine if we had, have you ever been writing a command and you just need to move back and you don't want to just delete, delete, delete? If you're on a Mac, you can just do command backspace and it goes back the entire word. You can also do command and left and right and it'll go through the words. So something else you just learned from this channel if you didn't know. Might save you a little time working on the terminal. So while that's running, we've got our add task button. I think what we're going to do is we are going to refactor this content, and we will be able to. This is very interesting. We're going to take this content out, and we'll make this an add or edit task dialogue content. We'll call it, because that's not a whole. It's not a huge word for your mouth. And we'll reuse that when we click these buttons, but also when we actually edit our tasks too. And what we'll do is we'll work on those kind of in sync, and that way we don't have to. Well, we know we want to reuse them, so. Well, we don't want. That was interesting. It popped up for a second, didn't it? Oh, it was because we had dockered up for just a moment. Oh man, this is always the painful part. So, well, we can actually start adding some of these too. So if we take these buttons here and we go to our task list, what we can do is we can call this an add edit task dialog. TSX. And so we'll take our task button. We're going to take this whole content. We'll throw this. Actually, we won't do this. We're going to take everything. Then we are going to take this and let this be returned. This would be our add tab. We don't need this trigger or this dialog. We are going to export a default function, not just a function. We'll export a default function. And instead of needing all of this, we can simply do this guy. And then let's remove some unused. So this is add. So this is going to be called add task. And then what we'll do here is when we edit a task, we will also, so within our task list, we will also, when we put the name, we will actually make our name, we won't make it a button, but we will make it still this text here. I believe this should probably work. So the whole child is the trigger. And let's have a sip of this. And what we'll do here is, oh, this is interesting. In our add task, now did we get rid of that? Where did we have, okay, we have it saying add task. And that's a dialog trigger. Oh, yes. And so either, let's see if we're done building yet. There we are. So let's do an up and we'll see what I mean. I think we should have two places that we should be able to open up our new dialog, and we'll be able to, yes, there we go. So we can add profile. Why is this not, our dark mode is no longer working. Let's see. Have we done something silly or something? I don't know. Maybe if we put a class dark here, please give us our dark mode back. Oh my gosh, this is be painful to work like this. It doesn't seem as any of our styles are working, does it? This pops up, but I kind of wonder what happened to our styles. Are our styles no longer being used potentially? Tailwind base. Is our app still? Yes, we are importing our global styles, and we don't need to make a change there. Let's see. What if we exclude from dark mode? Oh, please, please turn on dark mode. This is impossible to work with. This is so very bright. Let's look at our, can we just do, let's just background color black. Oh, at least give our eyes a break. So does our dark mode come from Tailwind? Or does it come from Alright, I see. Okay, dark mode enabled. HTML class equals dark. Alright, well that's what we've chose, and yet it's not coming in. Let's get out of this. Maybe we need to put this on our HTML. I'm not really sure why this, I doubt that this is going to change anything. It makes you wonder whether or not we're actually pulling in our style. Let's see. Disable cache. Is our class being actually, all right, let's do a view page source. Are we getting anything that, what if we did let's see if our CSS is being included at all. So let's keep this here because that looks like we're supposed to keep it there. Some things break when you don't expect them, don't they? Let's do HTML, and we're going to do background color black, and I'm calling it important. Is it not? Can I do it outside of this? It's been a long time since I've actually changed raw CSS like this. Is this being even picked up? It doesn't seem like it is. Because if it was, and we inspected our HTML, we should be seeing oh, okay, all right, so we know that this is actually coming through. Background color black. Okay, well, what if I do background color black here? Isn't that what we just did? Okay, so if I do this, at least for the time being, our eyes will at least stop hurting so much. So let's ask ChatGPT. Tailwind CSS dark mode stopped working on my project. All right. Let's see if we're using this dark mode. Okay, we are using this config. What else you got for us, ChatGPT? Check your build process. Purge clean. Browser support and testing. If you're using the media strategy, number one, we did. Let's do something different, and let's just do a git stash. We're gonna stash all our changes, and then we're gonna do a Docker compose build, and then we're gonna re-up, and we're gonna see what happens. Because maybe it's a change that we actually made that ended up breaking this. Then we're gonna do a Docker compose up. Not sure what we would have changed to break this, but I suppose we'll find out. Okay, so we're still the same problem, so we can do let's do a git stash apply, and that'll take all of our files and refix them. Suppose this dialogue thing didn't hurt us, did it? It doesn't look like it. Okay. Oh boy, I really don't want to see that. A sudden. Oh, the safe list allows you to specify classes that Tailwind CSS will always keep around for you and not purge. So let's look at safe list. My theory is we deleted that one file, and when we deleted it, it had dark mode in it, and when we deleted it, it actually got rid of that. So, and if we deleted that file, even though we git stash applied, it did not bring that file back because we didn't revert. So let's see if we can do safe list. Okay, so let's look at safe list here. Simply replace the same option. Okay, let's come back. Tailwind CSS safe list. Dark mode. Perhaps maybe we should just go to our app itself and put a class name dark, and perhaps that is all we need to do. Cross our fingers, and we're not actually building yet. Docker compose up, refresh. Ha, there we go. Much better for our eyes. So if we click this and we click this, it opens up our same dialogue. So for now, what we'll do is we are going to, let's open up our dialogue and let's think about if the differences between adding or changing. So the real biggest change is going to be we're going to want to pass in two different props. We're going to have and we can just label them here. We'll have an on submit, and we'll have a task, and those will take in a task will be it'll be a task, and that is going to come from our task list container. So we'll add this import in, and then our on submit is going to be really anything. We're not going to actually, we're going to call the task. So this is an interesting one. We're going to submit, should we call, now we got to remember we're going to have potentially validation come back from this. So on submit, we're going to want to take our thing and then hit a route. Perhaps we will actually handle our on submit entirely ourselves. And so in this, we won't be, the caller won't be responsible for the add or delete. We will figure out if it's a post or a put. And then we'll need, this is our close. Oh, but this actually won't close our dialogue, which is interesting. I wonder how we actually close this. Is there a thing inside where we can, in our dialogue, where we can close? Dialogue close. How is this used? Okay, dialogue close. It's not being used at all. We have these dialogue triggers. Let's go and look at some examples. So, dialogue close. Custom close button. Oh, okay, so we'll just put a close like that. So we will, but the interesting thing is we're going to save, and then on save, we're going to close we're going to want to close after our save, and there's no validation errors. To activate the, this will be interesting. We'll have this confirm. To activate a dialogue from the context menu, you must encase the whole thing in a dialogue. Then we have, so right here we have this dialogue close, but this doesn't have an actual on click. I wonder if there is a way to, so on open change, on trigger, data state. The button that closes the dialogue. Okay, so here's what we want to do. We're going to do set open. Okay, yeah, this is what I'm looking for. So there is an actual explicit, we have an actual explicit way of calling this. And so this is interesting because we need to keep the dialogue open in the parent. And I was really hoping that we would not need to do that, because this is the dialogue root. Oh, you know what we can do though? We can actually, this isn't a problem at all. So we have our, we'll have to figure out how to actually call these. But so for now, what we'll do is, let's go into our add edit, and this will be on submit. We'll say on on close. We'll have an on close. We won't have an on submit at all. And so what we will do is, we know this is always open. So this really isn't on close. This is close dialog. We'll call it close dialog. I think that actually is what we're actually doing here. So on submit, we will do we won't even do a set open. We're just going to, so this is an dialog footer. There's actually not even a footer here. Oh, but, oh no, the dialog, so we'll just do save. And actually what we'll do is we'll say task, save, or add. So we'll call it save or add, and we'll have a function here that says on submit. That's fine, like this. And what was our little, yeah, I think that looks good here. So when we hit our submit for now, so this will be on submit equals on submit. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. I don't even know what that would be. So we'll have on click. Okay, you can't use on click. Oh, maybe it's because this little form event. Is it not an HTML form event? Yeah. Can I do on submit? Okay. So let's go ahead and open up our guy here on add task. So this task is always optional, which means, yeah, we're checking task. Now we can load this. Close dialog is missing. Okay. Oh, so this and our container itself, our task list container, we will this is very interesting, because how do we open up our container then? That means when we click our events, we are going to have to set open to true. Oh, on open change, we have to have this guy here. Okay, so we can definitely do that, not a big deal. Let's just use we use this React. So we're gonna copy this guy out, put this at the root of our dialog container, and then on close dialog, we'll actually just set open to false every time. And yeah, this is complaining about that because it's not the correct syntax. So we'll set, and in our task equals task, and this is also going to be being complained about in our add. This is our task list. And so this is interesting. It's possible that we could have two. So our add, this guy is also going to need this set open. And I don't really like this, but we'll use it for now. So we have our set open. There's probably a way to refactor this where we simply set the task, the whole dialog. Yeah, that's probably how we should do this. This whole thing, we should just set if it's a button, the child component, and then we'll set if task is set for it, and that would display it. Yeah, we should just change this then. So let's do that. Let's do that. So this video is taking a while, so we might not even get to the end of creating this interaction with the server. So let's get our dialogue. Let's take this whole guy out, and we are going to take this, put all of our content here, and there's that. Our close, now we can actually make this the state handler. We don't need our parent component to have state. So we don't need multiple components to be knowing about the, let's close this dialog. We don't need multiple components to have this set open. We can have everything being contained right within this dialog. In this dialog, so therefore we're not going to need this close. We are going to want to use, though, we are going to say dialog trigger, or we'll call this the display component, and we'll call that a React node. And so what we'll do here, we'll call this our dialog well, hardest things is naming and caching, and now we're up in naming. Display component, I don't like it. It's very generic, but we're going to use it. So we're going to use display component, and it's always set. It's not an optional. You have to have your display component. So now, would you look at this? If task is set, we know what we want to use as the task, because it's just that. But that's applying this. Now this dialog is now having to worry about the style that's in the parent. Let's let the caller will put in what this looks like. So instead of having all of this, now we will very simply have our add edit task. Our task will be the task. Our display component, I don't want that, I want this. Our display component is very simply that. Let's close this out. And there's our task. That looks good. We have our display component. We've got our set open stuff on submit. That's good. On submit, we're going to set open to false. We're going to close our component. And in our add task button, we want to use a button, and we're going to have an add edit task dialog with a display component of this button. Now we can get rid of this state, and I think we should be good here. Let's look at our app. That looks good. So edit. So we have this add when we click the add, and save when we click the edit. So, all right, so we've got our dialogue now. Now let's strip out some of our content. So first, we will change this edit profile, and we'll keep a header, because why not? We'll call this task, and this will be simply a task. Add or edit. I don't think we need a description. It's possible we will in the future, but I think we're okay with not having it for now. So we have edit. Oh, we want this backwards. Edit and add. So there we go. We add it, we edit it. And now we are going to have, yeah, and then we have name. And so this is perfect. We'll have task name. We'll just give a sample one like exercise, or we'll say take vitamins. And we'll close this guy. We are going to want to submit, and then we're going to want to display our validation errors and stuff like that. So name example. Oh, but we don't want that to be the default value. We could do placeholder, right? Does that actually allow us to do that? And when we edit here, this value, so when we open up our form, we want our form to, by default, have the value of the name. So this value currently is very simply task name. But what's going to happen is I have that. There's no way to edit this. And we don't want to actually directly change this, or else it will update that. So instead, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to do something called form values. And set form values. The type is going to be our task. And we won't have a UID on our task though. And there's actual, so we're gonna have to do pick from our task, and it'll just be picking the name function out. And then we'll have a default will be the task.name, or it'll be empty. So that's what our values are going to be initially. Okay, and so when we update this task, we're going to have to do an on input. Let's see what that is. Set form values, that looks correct. Yeah, that actually looks great. Thanks, Copilot. Add an extra guy here, and that actually already looks solid. So let's come here. Form values. Set form values. Our value. Oh, and we need to not be here. We need to be form values dot name. And this should, we can fix these here. Now it starts as task 1, and we can change it. There we go. So when we open it up, oh, look at this. This looks like it's changing the actual, they all have, so if I do 1, 2, 3, are they all 1, 2, 3? So I click ASD. What about, see, that stayed at 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Very interesting. So when I click this, it doesn't seem like, so what about use effect? Are we, this is only being mounted one time. Let's see, because this is interesting because, okay, we're going to just do a console log. We'll just say hi, right? So in our console log, we have this 6 high, and we click this, and we can see that it's not actually rendering again. So if we come back in here, this state is always staying with us. We want to actually, so these components are actually they're getting loaded. We're not unloading them at all. We're keeping their state, So I mean, the one thing we could do is we could, when we close this, we could set things back to the defaults. And maybe that's what we'll do for now. We'll just do form defaults, and we'll have the same type. Oh, whoops. And we will put these the form defaults, and then when we close our function, we will set our set form values back to the defaults. Okay, so here's our task one. We do ASD. Oh, we're still there. Oh, and it's because we're not. Now if we click save, oh, it's not even closing it for us. On submit is on submit. On open change, open is there. Set open. Maybe this is like a use effect, and then every single time that open changes, then we're setting the form defaults back, because we're not clicking that button. Interesting that that's not even closing our function though, but let's try this. Okay, so every time we, all right. So it's initially at false, and when we submit, set open is back to false. That doesn't actually seem like it's working. So what about on, can we close this? How do we even close this? On open. Oh, this is on open change. Let's look at our dialogue. Okay. Open equals open, on open change, set open to false. This is interesting because it doesn't seem like our open is actually changing. So we'll come back to our dialogue and set open to false. Let's see if we are rendering every time we, so let's see here. It's false, false, false. We click this, we should, okay, we get true. Now if we click save, nothing is actually happening. So maybe it's because it's on submit and this is really on click. Try to click. There we go. Okay, so that was because it wasn't working with submit, and that's fine. We don't need to be submitting anyways. Okay, so how do we get this to actually populate? So add, we're gonna do blah, 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 and add. And what do we want to happen when we do blah, 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 and add? We want, so on submit, if the other thing we're going to want to actually have, and we don't have them currently, are validation errors, or errors in general. But we'll just call this, at least for now, I really would like to have a form errors and like a set errors and stuff like that. Let's just build it, and as we build it, we can change things around. Because we only got one property, this is kind of overkill anyways. So we'll handle errors after we get errors. So on submit, if we have a task, handle edit. But if not, this will be an async function. And we're going to do, what we'll do is we will, oh, look at this. It's already doing everything for us. That's funny. So if response is okay, how do we get, okay, if the response is okay, do that. This is interesting. If the response is not okay, console.log response.body and JSON. We'll say that. So we're gonna post to our task, and yeah, I think that's actually what we need to do here. So we're gonna do test, blah blah. Okay, did it actually work? Yes, it did. So if we refresh, and there is our new guy. What if we we just save empty? Okay, we got a task name is required field. So, and one of our problems right now is we do not have a air. I wonder what this on air is. Is there a way of actually displaying errors in this? If we go to forms, I don't really want front end. So here's a form and a form field. Here's this label and render, control, description. What about air or validation air? Okay, so where would it say username? So form schema. Description, this is your public name, then form message. Wonder what that form message is. I really like where it says the red name and on submit, handle submit. Yeah, I like this. Maybe we will add this after. So at least for the time being, we're not gonna worry about validation errors. That can be the next video. We're just gonna worry about adding. And so we do add, blah, blah, blah. So let's do another thing, and that's once we've added a task, we want to reload our parent tasks. So let's just do that as well. So we're gonna have reload tasks. And this is going to be a simple avoid function. And this should be pretty easy here. So we're gonna have reload tasks is equal to, there we go. So even in this, we will have reload tasks. We're gonna use that. And in our add task button, this would be really actually nice to be able to pass down as context, but we'll pass it down like this. So both task, this is a pain here because they're both going to need this reload task. So reload task, that looks fine like this. And then in our task container, we were going to be doing that and pass that down. This guy is not, oh, it's not going to be in this container. it is going to be in our task list. Okay, in our task container, our reload task, here's our task list. And so after we actually, oh, and we have to pass it down here. Okay. Where are these coming from? Get rid of our unused. Go in here, and we actually, so on submit, we're going to close our field, set form values back, and then when we will reload tasks, if it's okay, we'll simply await reload tasks, and we'll be good there. So this handles the add, and so now when we do this, we do blah, 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 blah. There they go, popping up. Let's pull me back down here. And so now we're gonna handle and edit, and by now I should realize that this thing is gonna handle it all for us. Come on, Copilot, do your magic. Look at this, this is amazing. This kind of looks funky here, and then we'll just do a very similar type of feature here. So our form values, stringify, that looks really good. And here we go. And we can edit this to task 1,000, 1 million. Save, and look at our task. It's jumping out at the bottom. Now we're gonna have to take care of this because this is the interesting, because we're using these URDs, we're not, and we also don't have a created at, updated at. We can't actually, our ordering is going to change every time. So we want to put in a created and updated at and stuff like that within our migration. So last thing we want to do is we want to add a delete. And so let's add that on delete, and we're going to call this, look at ChatGPT doing our work for us. So we're going to have a if task, then we're going to have a button. Look at this. This is I mean, ChatGPT is just doing our work for us at this point. So add, we shouldn't see it. And if we see, oh, there's our delete, and there's hey there, and hey there is gone. We're gonna also, I think we should actually also add another dialogue. So when we open up, if we actually click this, we should open up another dialogue and just to confirm that you really want to delete this. So we're going to put everything within another dialogue. This will just be handled like this as, how do we, this had a property that we could have used. Let's go look at the example, dialogue example. So edit, where was the code? And we had dialogue footer, it was in here. Custom close button, so as child. Dialogue close as child, like that. But we're not going to actually use this. We want to close everything. Oh yeah, so yeah, that's fine. We want to close this dialogue immediately. When we click this dialogue, we're going to close it immediately. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to do a delete task dialogue. Delete task dialogue, TSX. And we're going to copy because this is going to have so much indentation. So let's come up here, delete task dialogue. what we'll do is when we click this button, we're gonna make this actually just we'll have it taken a task, and actually we can just have it do a on delete. We'll just pass in an on delete, and that's basically it. That's all we're gonna need. And then all of this we can get rid of. We can get rid of all of this, take in this dialog component, make this our parent, and this actually has all this extra stuff as well. So this is going to say delete, and this is probably just text now, so we're going to want to change that. Really delete task. We'll have this also be a task too, so we can reference it. Task. And this will say really delete task name. And we won't really, there is no body here. I suppose we didn't even need a dialogue. We needed an alert dialogue. Yeah, we actually needed this. We needed an alert dialogue instead. Let's see what this looks like. Preview. Are you absolutely sure? Maybe we should use this instead. Yeah, let's use that. So I know we're already running late, but let's go ahead and add this. Let's do it the proper way. Let's go into our web project, add this alert dialog, and we'll docker compose, come up, docker compose build. Let's copy this out of here. Good news is a lot of this is very similar here. So yeah, we're just gonna do this, but it'll be a delete task dialog. And on click, can we do an on click for this? This component is like this too. On click. Can we use an on click here? Does it allow us to do an on click? I suppose we can. So this is going to be a task, except this will be an actual task from our container, and then we'll have an on delete click. This will be an on delete click void. Okay. So on delete. Why is this complaining? Because this on delete click, we will, so on this click, we are going to run that operation here. Okay, there's our item. So are you absolutely sure? We can actually just, this will say delete, and we don't even need the task. I think, oh, okay. This action cannot be done. This task completion so and all of its associated history. And within here, we are going to just drop in this delete. So if there's a task, then throw in this extra dialogue. So task, as well as the on delete. We'll have this on delete in here. And this will look, that's going to run this and then close that entire form. So that looks good. What is this complaining about? Children does not exist on. What do I need children for here? Does this matter? So it's this problem here. Ah, well that looks really funky, doesn't it? Oh. Close out the component. There we go. Alright, let's see if this spins up. And it's not because we need to Docker build. Well, let's Docker up. We've already built. Okay, starting up our server. Alright, so let's see if we can delete this guy. It says ASD. Do you really ASD? 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 Huh? That's definitely not what we want. Alert dialogue as child. It's very interesting because it seems like we cannot have multiple dialogues up. So we do this, and then it's funny that the ASD is the task. Is that what we want? I thought we would be getting the button. We'd have this button here, and instead we have the delete task dialog. Okay. Task. Yeah, that's interesting. Why is it putting this name right here? Task.name. Task.name. Where are all the places we're using task.name? In this task name here, this is our display component. Okay, but we're not using this within here, right? We're not putting it there. We click this, then it opens up another component. Is it deleting it this? Yes, we do want to delete. Okay, we deleted it. Okay, that's pretty funky. Okay, so what is going on here? Let's click this guy. So when we click this, another component is opening, and on that component is the one where we can delete. Before then, very interesting. So does that mean our delete task? Are we referencing something that we should not be here? Our add edit task dialog. Oh, look at that. We have this huge, we did this to get rid of this, and yet now we did this to make our thing smaller, but we never actually made it smaller. So if it's task, then use this guy. Okay, so delete. Are you absolutely sure? This action cannot be undone. This will permanently delete task ASD and all of its associated history. Continue. Oh no. What if we delete them all? Because we're just so bad. Deleting every one of them. Oh no, did we just break all of our entire component add task? We have no tasks. Oh no. So what if we just have one that's called take vitamins? Oh, look at that. It shows up. And we can edit it. So do not take vitamins. Because we're rebels. And we'll put that back. Alright. Okay, so let's throw in one last thing below this added task. And let's throw in a little spacer. There we go. Looks a tad bit better. Okay, we've got take vitamins. What was our ones that we had in our demo a long time ago? Take vitamins, exercise, and post a video. Post video. Okay, well, look at that. So we can now add and edit and delete tasks. We're done. We do not have validation yet on our routes, which stinks. If we press save, well, it just doesn't save at all. Oh, cancel. That's kind of scary. Good thing we have this. We should probably change the UX on that. Do we have a to-do here? How to reset the database. This is the to-do list that we have already. We're gonna make a new to-do list and add validation. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to add authentication too. And maybe we'll just remember that we gotta add validation. So let's go ahead and commit all of our changes. Add tasks, or add ability to add, edit, delete tasks in the UI. All right. So with that said, we are going to be done for today. We'll see you guys in the next video. Probably try to get something up for tomorrow where we'll finish this. Let's not do our check marks yet. We'll add validation for these names just to see how that's going to work, how that works and with all these new libraries and things like that. And then after that, we'll finally get to the point where we can make a little check mark. So we'll see you next time.